Well, howdy, I'm John Mark Dempsey, and once again, we are having a second cup of coffee conversation with Mario.
Thank you for having me again.
Villarino. Well, thank you for coming. Several things we want to talk with you about, but I thought first I'd ask you about the drought, which seems to be getting more serious and prolonged. And what are you hearing from folks?
It's one of those situations like we were talking about before. You know that. It's not about so much how long it's going to be or how much rain are we getting, but that long spell of without constant rain through weeks and months in this case, that I don't think we have seen, a normal rate of production of our hay in the latest week like we normally expect. And Hopkins County is a very intense farming community.
Sure.
We have a lot of head of cattle in production. So any disagreement we normally have can actually trigger some of the concerns and, planning from our producers to start looking into an alternative ways to make it through the process.
Now, we had a fair amount of rain during the summer and through the latter part of September, but no rain at all in October.
That is correct. We normally have a 4-cut cycle in this county. So having 2 or 3, although it's very good because we had a very good wet season earlier in the year, I think those numbers might be a little bit concerning for some that can actually get prepared for that. If they should, make sure they have enough storage and adjust that herd number. For can potentially be something that we're going to be using hay for a longer period than we normally have.
So you've had less hay production late summer,
correct.
Early fall than you normally would.
That is correct. And some our normal programs have been affected by that. And I was having a recent program with some producers, and they were extending that too. We haven't seen any major issues with grasshoppers or armyworms that we normally do, but that lack of rain is really limiting the available hay to be produced.
I see. All right. Well, we'll run out of time if we're not careful. So let's get on to some other topics. You put out a news release recently about wild hogs or
yes, and
feral
normal
hogs.
Feral hogs, either way you want to call it. It's one of those situations that because of the time of the year when we have our post-hoc put in pines or little production out of there in the wild trees, that sometimes people can actually see them more active, coming visiting places that they normally don't do, and it has to do with having those trees actually bearing fruits. And the oaks, just like any other tree, they will produce an acorn that actually make it very attractive for these wild hogs to show up all of a sudden and devour them and create a havoc. So it's important to remember that this is a pest, because that's how it's identified, that we have it in our environment often. And they will probably come in just to get benefit from those acorns and, move away and look for another place to visit later.
Are we expecting to see more or fewer of them this fall?
It's because the scarcity of other resources. You were talking about the drought and having less available seedlings coming out, that people might see them coming, visiting in unusual places, and they might have to take some precautions on that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, my wife saw one the other day, and we haven't seen any out where we live in Delta County for quite some time. So,
right.
So you talk about some means of control, trapping is
right,
is
and
one
it's
thing.
important to remember the biology. There are actually 2 major groups that you can actually see around when you're scouting or visiting to your place. Is the single one that is usually a male. It's a boar that will start looking for places to eat, and it's an isolated entity. It's one single animal coming in and doing a smaller damage. And then there's another option, which is a young family with an older female called a sounder. A sounder is a group of 20 or so individuals, the different ages and different experience levels, that actually make more problem than than the single boar. So obviously, to control that situation, when you have a big group of them coming, you have to trap them with a bigger corral type of trap that actually can encompass all of them at the same time. Otherwise, it will make it very complicated to eradicate the issue.
It's hard to get them one at a time.
Very impossible. You will actually see more problems and create more frustration in the person who's actually doing it. Now, a single boar obviously can be hunted down with a gun and take care of that. But a family of a sounder is more complicated. Make sure that you get a big of a cage. And it's usually called corral cages. They're fairly feasible to keep up to 20 animals in it and take care of all the problems once.
Are there areas in Hopkins County where they are more prevalent?
Actually, it's a nomadic problem. They will come to time. They move through fences and houses and whatnot, looking for places to eat, some sources of food. And there's actually not a pattern that you can say, they're going to be showing up this way or another, because their nature is that way. They will come over looking for farmland to begin with, and if they run into a crop that they can actually, benefit from, they will tear it up and eat it, and that's what the changes come in. Usually, when they don't find it anymore because it was harvested or it was decimated, they will move somewhere else looking for that source of food, and that's what neighbors can actually start seeing it, and they're bold. They will come close to your house with no shyness at all. So, recommendation not to stay too close to them, because they will charge to people and they get to be extremely dangerous when
well, there's more we could talk about on that subject, but we're out of time, so maybe another time.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right. Mario Villarino is, of course, the Hopkins County AgriLife Extension Agent. Thanks for having a second cup of coffee with us. I'm John Mark Dempsey. This is KSST.